What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another BTD Gaming Master Duel deck profile, and today we have a brand new deck profile here on Master Duel. As of today, this update just dropped and we have a new selection pack, and this selection pack features none other than one of my favorite decks, Floowandereeze, and we finally have Floowandereeze here in Master Duel, and I have to say, it's pretty good, pretty solid. There are a couple cards in the typical TCG Floowandereeze deck that are missing, mainly the quick play spell, but we're probably going to get that in a future update. But here we are with the list now, and the thing about Floowandereeze is it's very strong in the TCG. It's always in like that tier 1, tier 2 range. It can top events. It's really solid. Alright, but the downsides, there are some downsides. There can be some bricking issues, and if your opponent negates the right thing, it can shut off your turn completely. But if you can really get things going, you can get a lot of good cards out, and you can lock your opponent out of things. You can even clear their board in certain situations, depending on what you do. Floowandereeze can do a lot of different things, and we're going to take a look at it right now. So let's go through the card by card. First, we have Floowandereeze and Rabina. This is the card you want in your hand first. This is your main starter, because when you summon it, you can add an Eaglin to hand. Now, the thing about all the Floowandereeze monsters is that they can recycle themselves. First of all, they banish. Okay, so in that way, they're protected from graveyard negation. So when you normal summon a Floowandereeze monster and you activate its effect, you can activate a Floowandereeze monster that was banished, and you can add that monster back to your hand. So a typical combo could be you normal summon Rabina, activate Rabina, you add Eaglin, then after a Floowandereeze monster's effect resolves, you can normal summon another one, normal summon another winged beast monster, which is really, really good. And then that cycle goes on until your board is full of what you need to be full of. So Floowandereeze and Rabina and Floowandereeze Eaglin, these are kind of your first two. If you start off with an Eaglin, it's not the worst thing in the world, as long as you have a way to get your Rabina in rotation. As long as there's a Floowandereeze card in rotation, you can cycle off pretty well. So you would normal summon Rabina, add Eaglin, then when you normal Eaglin, you could add a monster like Floowandereeze and M-Pen, then you tribute them, and then once M-Pen is summoned, you can add both of them back to your hand. It's crazy, but we'll get to that in a second. Our next is Floowandereeze and Stream. This card is good, particularly in this format, because you're dealing with cards like Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. So if you're able to summon this guy and someone sends their Phoenix Enforcer to the grave already, you can use Stree to banish it, which is huge in this format. So we have Stree and we have Toucan. What's nice about Toucan is that you can return a Floowandereeze monster from... you can return a Floowandereeze monster. And again, it's just good to have these cards in rotation. And then our last Floowandereeze monsters, Floowandereeze and M-Pen. This is kind of the Floowandereeze boss monster. Your opponent can't activate the effects of special summoned face-up attack position monsters, which is really, really good against Link monsters specifically. It can also decrease the attack of your opponent's monsters that you are attacking. If you banish a Floowandereeze card, really, really good. And again, if you use this to tribute two Floowandereeze monsters on your side of the field, you activate this to add a Floowandereeze spell trap, and then you can add the Floowandereeze you just tributed back to your hand. So it has that recycling ability, which is really, really good. Next, we have Hand Traps, best card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Max C. We also have Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. And then our other hand trap is very specific to this deck, which is Dimension Shifter, which can really shut your opponent's turn down rather quickly. If you have no cards in your graveyard, obviously when you're playing Floowandereeze, you're not going to have cards in your graveyard very often, especially if you open with Dimension Shifter. right? You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. Until the end of the next turn, any card sent to the graveyard is banished. Instead, this of course has 0 consequences for Floowandereeze because you want to banish your cards. But against an opponent who needs to activate cards from the grave or whatever, alright, having to banish cards can be brutal. So Dimension Shifter, really good card, strong card in this deck. Next we have Barrier Statue of the Stormwind. It's a floodgate, can't special summon monsters except wind monsters. And this card obviously is searchable because it is a wind-winged beast. Mist Valley Apex Avian, a 2700 monster, 2 tribute. It is in the gate and you can put it back to your hand, so it has some continuation abilities there. Next we have Ryza the Mega Monarch. This card's crazy. Essentially you can get rid of cards on your opponent's side of the field, whether it be sending it back to the deck or back to the hand. You can also, in a way, Yada lock them if you're sending the card back to the top of the deck. It's kind of crazy. You can also send this card back to your own hand as well. Again, all of these monsters, these wind-winged beast monsters, are searchable in this deck. So those are the monsters. Here are the spells. Harpy's Feather Duster to get rid of Skill Drain, because Skill Drain can be a killer against this deck. Terraforming to search your field spell. We have Pot of Duality. Now, this is an older card, but what's nice about Duality in Floowandereeze is that you're not special summoning. Alright, all of the summoning you're doing in Floowandereeze is normal summoning. You're just being allowed to get multiple normal summons, so the setback for Duality doesn't apply to you. So Duality becomes much stronger in Floowandereeze. So we have 3 Duality and 3 Prosperity. If you don't have Prosperity, another option you can do is Extravagance. I like Prosperity because you can dig deeper to find your Rabina. Next, we have Floowandereeze and the Magnificent Map. This is a crazy field spell that lets you banish a Floowandereeze monster from your deck if you reveal one from your hand, and then you can normal summon that Floowandereeze monster from your hand. Now, that does not count as your initial normal summon, so you'll have another normal summon after that if need be. This is a great way to search out cards like Rabina to get them into rotation, or to get any Floowandereeze monster in the rotation. And Magnificent Map has another crazy effect. If your opponent normal summons a monster, you can activate this and then you can normal summon a Floowandereeze monster from your hand. So a lot of the time after you go through your initial combo, you're going to have Rabina and or Eglin, or really any of these guys, back into your hand. Then you can go through the same combo again on your opponent's turn. It's crazy. And then there's other cards we're going to go over in a second where that becomes much nuttier. So, must include for 3 for Magnificent Map. Next, we have Floowandereeze and the Unexpected Winds. Now, this card, well, I was talking about before, how using the map, you can normal summon cards on your opponent's turn. What's crazy about this is if you have a monster that requires tributing, you can tribute. You can use one of your opponent's cards, not monsters, cards as a tribute. So if your opponent has a face down back row or a field spell, you can use one of those cards as a tribute. So what's nice about this is on your opponent's turn, if you have Magnificent Map and you're going through the Rabina Eglin combo during your opponent's turn, and you have a card like Apex Avian or Mega Monarch or MPEM that require tribute, you can tribute one of your opponent's cards, and that is insane. Floowandereeze and Unexpected Winds is a crazy card. Also, what's nice is if you find yourself with extra Floowandereeze monsters that you don't need, you can put them back to the bottom of your deck and then draw the same amount you just put at the top, so you can fill your hand with other things. Unexplored Winds is a crazy card. Next we have Book of Moon, 2 Book of Moon, and we have 2 Call Upon the Grave. You know, you got your Rabina has to resolve. We also have, oh, by the way, what's nice about Book of Moon is it can help with certain effect negations on one of your monsters, so you can put it in defense position. There's also value in putting your opponent's monsters in face down defense position as well. That's it for the spells. Next for the traps, we have Harpy's Featherstorm, great for going first. If you control a winged beast monster, negate any monster effects your opponent activates. Just a really another good floodgate for this deck. And then we have Floowandereeze and the Dreaming Town. So this does something similar to Magnificent Map, where when you activate this, you can normal summon a Floowandereeze monster from your hand. You can also banish this card and change all monsters your opponent controls to face down defense position. So that's pretty good. Which, by the way, all of these Floowandereeze spells and traps are searchable off of M-Pen. So that's pretty crazy. Yes, we are missing the Advent of Adventure card that wasn't released in this set, but this deck is pretty solid. The extra deck has a bunch of nothing. Like, the only cards you can maybe use are Link Spider off a token or Link Karibo. You know, but most of these cards, it's not really a huge deal. They get banished, and you're using them as banished fodder for your Pot of Prosperity. Alright, so this was the Floowandereeze deck profile, and I'm really excited to see how this deck performs in Master Duel, especially with cards like Max C in the game, and with a card like Called by the Grave at 2, because this card's at 1 in TCG, and obviously Max C is banned in TCG. So we're going to take a look at some replays and see how the deck performs. And here we go for our first Floowandereeze replay. Now, it's really important that you go first, but sometimes you can't, and it is what it is. Not a bad opening hand here. We are going first. We do have the Rabina. We're going to normal summon Rabina, activate Rabina's effect to add Eaglin. We're then going to be able to normal summon Eaglin, activate Eaglin's effect to add a Mist Apex Avian, because we already have our M-Pen. We're going to activate our M-Pen, and then we're going to chain our Eaglin and our Rabina. Now, interesting enough, this chain blocks, so now they can't ash the M-Pen. So we're going to get the Rabina and Eaglin back to our hands, just like that. And then we're going to resolve our M-Pen effect to add a Spell Trap from our deck to our hand. We have the map. We're going to activate the map. That's for later. We're going to activate Unexplored Winds, and we'll just leave it at that, because there's going to be some stuff we can do on our opponent's turn. So they're going to play Dragon Maids here, and then because they normal summon, we can activate Magnificent Map, normal Rabina, and then we can now do our combo on our opponent's turn, which is crazy. We're now going to activate Unexplored Winds to tribute for the Apex Avian. We're going to get Rabina back to hand. So now we have a negate on board, and that stops our opponents in their tracks. And so it's our turn again. We draw another Rabina. We're going to normal summon, and then they're going to activate Dragon Maid downtime, but we're going to negate with the Apex Avian by adding it back to our hand, and then negating the effect of the trap so we can continue with our move. So Rabina is going to resolve, and then we're going to add a Stree to our hand, normal summon Stree. We're going to banish their Dragon Maid monster, and they're just going to give up from there, because from that point on, we'd be able to summon the Apex Avian, the barrier statue, and they won't have much to do after that. Here we go with our next Floowandereeze replay. See, we get in our hand here, and we have Dimension Shifter, but we are going second. Now, this isn't bad, because our opponent's going to activate their opening spear, but we're going to Shifter. We're playing against Divine Beast here. We're going to resolve, but they're going to activate the Spirit Gates and get their Divine Beast. They're now going to activate Sky Fire and summon Dark Beckoning Beasts. No, so now get Chaos Summoning Beast. So they have a good chance here to get their whichever Divine Beast that is. It's Haman. So now they have a 4,000 monster on field, but I think we're going to be okay. We're going to activate Pot of Duality to see what we can get, but then they're going to negate it. So now they have no more negates that we have to deal with, so we'll activate Map. We're going to reveal Eaglin to send, or banish Rabina rather. Normal summon Eaglin. Now we can add Rabina back to our hand. The Rabina is now in rotation, which is huge. And then with the Eaglin, we're going to search our Mega Monarch. Now watch what we do with him in a little bit. We're going to normal summon Rabina. We're going to add Stree. We're then going to tribute for the Mega Monarch. And we are going to send some cards back. The Eaglin will go back to our hand as well. Which, by the way, we have... Did we use a normal summon? We have used our normal. We have not used our normal summon yet, have we? We're going to activate Unexplored Winds and use our regular normal summon for Barrier Statue. Now our opponent is locked out of special summoning unless it's a wind monster. Alright? That's what's great about Magnificent Map is you don't commit to your regular normal summon yet. They're going to try to get some cards back here. Now, very smart of our opponent. They're going to put our Rabina in the graveyard. So now the Rabina won't be in rotation because it's not banished. They're going to activate their Chaos Summoning Beast to add their Fallen Paradise field spell. They activate Fallen Paradise, and that's all they can really do. And now it's our turn. We're still in the driver's seat here, though. We have Dimension Shifter. Now, watch what we do here. First of all, we're going to activate Magnificent Map. We're going to do Eaglin, sending over Rabina. Normal summon Eaglin. And then we're going to add Rabina back to hand. And then our Eaglin is going to search a large monster here, and we are going to get our M-Pen. We are then going to summon our Rabina, and then add our Toucan just to have more monsters. Now then, we're going to summon our Street. Now this will banish our Rabina back to the grave, putting it back in rotation. And now the grave is empty for a D-Shifter. We also used Unexplored Winds to tribute their face-down monster for our M-Pen. We also now have another D-Shifter in rotation, so now they can only banish, and they're in a pretty bad spot here. This looks like this is going to be lethal. We'll get our Dreaming Town off the M-Pen search. 1,000, 600, 800, 1,000, and that will be game. Alright, here we go for our final duel here, using Floowandereeze. So far, so good. We're going to draw our 5, and we are not going first. We lost the die roll again. And, oh, our opponent's going to get out the Fusion Destiny, but we ash it. But they have Cross-Out Designator. That's brutal. Alright, well, they're going to have DPE on field. The Cross-Out Designator will resolve, which means the Ash Blossom will not. So now, they get their Destiny Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer in rotation, but we have a sneaky play we can do here. We're going to draw. Now, we're going to activate Book of Moon, and we're going to see if we can set the DPE, but they're going to activate the DPE just so that they can get the effect in grave. Little do they know that we have ways to deal with this. So they're going to activate so they can summon next turn, but again, we have ways to deal with this. We're going to activate the map, reveal Eaglin, send Rabina, normal Eaglin, activate Rabina, and that is going to resolve. But the Imperm the Eaglin, luckily for us, we still have a normal summon we can use, because that wasn't our regular normal summon because of the Magnificent Map. So we get Rabina back to hand, we just don't get the search off of Eaglin, but we can normal summon Rabina, and we'll get a Stree, and we're going to normal summon Stree, and we're going to banish the DPE. The DPE is out of rotation. We then can normal summon Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, so now they can't special summon, and this is big. We also have Harpy's Featherstorm. So pretty good recovery there, and we'll see what our opponent can do. They have Roxy, so we're going up against Prank Kids, but we activate Harpy's Featherstorm, so now they can't activate monster effects. They get rid of the Barrier Statue, so they can at least special summon some cards. They get Meow Meow Mew. They obviously can't activate the Roxys because of the Storm. So now we are still in the driver's seat here. We draw Rabina. That's ridiculous. Rabina to Eaglin. We can just go through the combo again. Activate Eaglin. We're going to get our M-Pen now. And we're going to tribute Eaglin and Rabina for M-Pen. And then activate Eaglin and activate Rabina from the banished zone to get them back to hand. And then our M-Pen is going to search a Floowandereeze spell trap. And the spell trap we're going to get is Unexplored Winds, naturally. So we activate Unexplored Winds, enter the battle phase, activate M-Pen to decrease the attack of the Meow Meow Mew. Again, we are in the driver's seat here, so now they can't activate the effect of special summon face-up attack position monsters. So our... And oh, they drew Fansies off the top. That's pretty good, actually. They were able to special summon it with the effect of Dasher. They get Meow Meow Mew on field. They activate Fansies from grave to send Lampsies. And now they're going to Link Summon, but they have Doodle Doo, and they can't really do anything here. They'll gain 1,000 life points. They're able to get some resemblance of a combo off. They get Nightmare Unicorn, but they can't activate Unicorn's effect because of M-Pen. And that is going to wrap things up. Nope, they have Celestial. So they're going to draw 2. Let's see what they get. And this is them just kind of conceding here. They know the game is over. So it's our turn. All we need to do is attack. And then we're going to win this one. And you can see, once these Floowandereeze really get going, they're really, really, really hard to deal with. Floowandereeze getting the win against Prank Kids. Well, there you have it. And yeah, this deck when this deck really gets going, it's really, really hard to deal with just because of the boards you can make and the kind of things you can do on your opponent's turn. You're removing cards and you're throwing down floodgates, and it's really, really hard for your opponent to deal with. So this deck is actually surprisingly cheap. You know, a lot of like the hand traps are URs, obviously, but a card like Magnificent Map, only being a rare, is big. And the main Floowandereeze monsters are just SRs, which is kind of crazy. This deck actually isn't very expensive in TCG or in Master Duel. So if you're looking for something, this isn't completely budget, but on the more budget side, but you can perform really, really well with, Floowandereeze might be the deck for you, especially because most likely there will be more support coming along the way. So this was the Floowandereeze deck profile here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.